Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Since I started doing these Pokémon Emerald Solo runs, I try to use a different type each time. When it comes to Dragon types, there's not much to choose from. The only first form Dragon type introduced in Generation 3 is Bagon, so here's the video of my solo run with it. Before starting, here's the rule set I'm going to play with. If you're interested, pause the video or check the description below. But to simplify, no items, no overleveling. I don't force myself to use a single Bagon for the whole run, but I'll always use one Bagon in battle. With some restriction, the egg moves are allowed. I also give myself infinite TMs and Tutor moves. This setup allows to experiment every moveset combination and gives a lot of room to play with the IV and EV. With the rules part out of the way, let's actually talk about Bagon. Even if it only has a 300 total base stats, the distribution is pretty decent. 75 base attack is good, and the speed is actually higher than what I expected. Special defense is for sure going to be a problem, but I'll figure out something. I hope. As for the moveset, we get Bite and Headbutt early, which is great, but the rest is honestly pretty garbage. With 40 base special attack, I don't think special moves are going to be really viable. Through TMs, Bagon gets some valuable options. Even if I just complain about Bagon's special attack, Flamethrower is gonna be accessible before the third gym, so I'm happy to have it. Brick Break is another great move, but that's not before the last gym. Lastly, the egg moves. Dragon Dance might immediately catch your eye, but according to my breeding rules, that's not an option until I beat Winona. The other moves don't look too great, but we'll see. First of all, I replace Torchic with Bagon, so that the rival has the Mudkip line. It doesn't really matter considering that Bagon is a Dragon type, but I consider Marshtomp to be the hardest to deal with, at least if you don't have a Grass type move. Anyway, what really matters here is that I need a Bagon that's able at least to get me through the first two gyms. It also has to be females, for reasons that will be clear later. Once I find her, I name her Saphira, and the run can actually start. I'm not too worried about Roxanne, since I can use Bite and her AI is not the brightest, but since Bagon is part of the slow experience group, I can do some solid EV training without exceeding the level cap. I'll further explain my early game strategy, but first, let's jump into the first gym fight. Roxanne sends out her first Geodude and the match is off to a good start with a flinch from Bite. Geodude manages to land a Rock Tomb and then, despite the potion, Saphira is able to knock her out without losing any more HP. The second Geodude comes out. This time, the first bite doesn't cause flinching, and the second one takes down Geodude with a crit. That's not lucky, that's bad. Now Roxanne has a potion left for Nosepass, and that, combined with her Oran Berry, makes almost impossible to outlast the battle. Nosepass has a really solid special defense and can show how weak my bite actually is. So even if Nosepass doesn't attack with Rock Tomb unless I'm faster or in kill range, and wastes time with Harden and block, even if she misses her attack and I get a crit, I end up losing the battle by a single hit. Let's try again. This time I get some great luck against the Geodudes, so when Nosepass comes out, Saphira is full HP and Roxanne is out of potions. Slowly but surely, that huge lead transitions in a victory, leaving me with plenty of HP to spare. I don't know if you noticed, but on the right there was a chart with the IV and EV of the Bagon I was using. You'll see that for every major battle. And if you did notice, maybe you saw that I had a pretty good amount of EV on my defense and attack, as well as an adamant nature. With some further improvement to my attack, you'll see how all of that plays in the fight against Brawley. But first, as I reach Dewford, I get the Old Road and catch a male Magikarp. That's important for later. What's important for now is that there is a guy in Dewford that gives the player a free Seal Scarf, an held item that will boost our normal moves. So, let's pay a visit to Brawley now. Thanks to my good attack, Headbutt is a 2-hit KO on Machop, even after a defense boost from Bulk Up. This is not the case since Headbutt makes him flinch, but now you know this Machop never stood a chance. Meditate is second, and I usually make Brawley waste his super potions on him. This time I don't really care, so I just hit him until it goes away. He can only hit me with Focus Punch, so there's nothing to worry about. Last is Makuhita, and if you consider that he has Bulk Up and a citrus berry that keeps him healthy, he is to be feared. but with a single defense drop, Headbutt is a one-hit KO, so the moment he doesn't use Bulk Up I win, unless he one-shots me. So, after tanking fairly well a Vital Throw on the first turn, Saphira lands a Headbutt for the one-shot. I did not expect the first two games to be hard, as I don't expect the late pot rival to give any real issue. In fact, I just spammed Headbutt for the win, without even reaching the level cap. Marshtomp lands a decent mass shot and even a Torrent Water Gun, but Saphira is just too bulky for him. What I know is gonna require some more planning is the Wattson fight. But the good news is that as a rich Movil, I also get access to the game corner and, most importantly, to the daycare. After evolving the Magikarp, I can leave Saphira and the Gyarados in the daycare. I would really like to get a Bagon with Dragon Rage, but that move is learned by Gyarados at level 25, just barely over the level cap. But breeding is also really useful to find a Pokémon with the most adequate stats and nature. So, after some breeding and training, we have a new entry ready to take on Wattson. Elizabeth has a perfect attack stat and decent speed. With that said, she cannot outspeed nor one-shot Voltorb. The plan is to slow it down with Rock Tomb and then kill it with Headbutt before it blows up. The problem is that Rock Tomb can miss, and that's exactly what happens here. The second Rock Tomb connects and I don't get paralyzed by Spark, but this isn't a good start. Headbutt finishes the job and Electrike comes out. The worst thing he can do is to paralyze me with Static, so I opt for a 2-hit KO with Flamethrower. Despite Bagon's low special attack and Elizabeth's unfavorable nature, Flamethrower is by far the best option to deal with Magneton too. Magneton can deal a good chunk of damage with Sonic Boom or might confuse me with Supersonic. To avoid all of this, I made sure to be faster. The AI really hates to be slower, and if it has the chance, it will try to get the speed advantage. In this case, Magneton will most likely use Thunder Wave. Knowing all of this, I made sure to equip a Cherry Berry to get rid of the paralysis and safely land a second Flamethrower the turn after. Last is Manectric, but my HP is not great for this. The first turn, I get hit by Shockwave immediately, as he lowered his defense with Leader. Sadly now Manectric sees the kill and will go for it, taking me down before I can even damage it. Let's try again with some better luck. I just need to hit the Rock Tomb against Voltorb. Just don't paralyze me, please. Technically that did not paralyze me. Self-destruct first turn is very unlikely. The lower the HP, the higher the chance to blow up. But even a 1% chance is bound to happen, so no reason to be mad about it. Now, for real, let's do this properly. Voltorb goes for Spark and doesn't paralyze me. The Rock Tomb hits. Perfect. Electrike is useless. Perfect. I still have the Cherry Berry, so Magneton is free. Perfect. Now, going into Manectric with 47 HP feels way much better. I can tank 2 Shockwave if needed, but he just goes for the more common first turn Howl as I lower his defense with Leer. The turn after I have to tank the hit, but then thankfully my Rock Tomb connects. Manectric has a Citrus Berry, so I made sure that my Rock Tomb doesn't bring him down to yellow. Now Elizabeth outspeeds and Headbutt is always enough to take him down. No healing was triggered during this fight, and that's why we were able to win. If the Wattson fight taught anything to me, it's that Bagon cannot tank a special move, even if resisted. And if Shockwave was still manageable, Overheat is probably not going to be the case. Of course, I am already thinking about Flannery. The fight against Maxi doesn't have anything exciting going on. I mean, his Camerupt uses Tackle. But at least the Wall made his appearance, and he's the Bagon I'm going to use against the Fire Gym. The Pokemon I'm the most worried about is Torkoal. Even ignoring the fact that its Overheat is going to hurt and it has a White Herb to restore the special attack drop, it has a whopping 140 base defense, and I do not have the special attack nor the best special move to deal with it. So I had to take a different approach. So, as you can see, now I have Dragon Rage. I'm going to use Headbutt against Numel for the flinch chance, and I do get the flinch, so I can take down the first Mon without losing a single HP. I don't get the flinch against Lakma, but it rarely uses Overheat, and the worst she can realistically do is to poison me with Smog. She goes for light screen, that's the best case scenario, and I make it to the camera up at full health. Camera up has exactly 80 HP, so I'm just going for the double Dragon Rage and hopefully I won't take too much damage in the process. She goes for Attract, and that's honestly not too bad unless I can't attack for more than 2 times in a row. But luck is by my side and I immediately land the second Dragon Rage. This is starting to be a little bit disgusting. I might just reset and look for some more average luck. Torkoal barely survives 2 Dragon Rage, so I go for Headbutt first, hoping for a flinch. I don't get the flinch and Torkoal uses Attract. Let's see if my infatuation luck continues. I only need to attack twice. It looks like it does, as I land the first Dragon Rage and she sets up a sunny day. But then I get back-to-back immobilized by love into body slam paralysis. So I came really close to lose against Flannery, but thankfully the wall manages to hit through infatuation and paralysis on the very last turn available. Oh, and if you wonder why we didn't see any of the overheat I was worried about, that's because the wall is indeed a special wall, if we can call that a Pokémon with 30 base special defense. I had next to none offensive power, so having a move that deals a set amount of damage was really crucial for this fight. But there is no time to celebrate, as we now have to go and face my father at the Petalburg gym. Norman is one of the main reasons why I don't ban Double Team. Sometimes there's just no way a Pokémon can deal against Norman at this stage of the game. His team is really fast and can deal a ton of damage, and even if you make it past Vigoroth and Linoone, then Slaking will most likely get an hit off, and with 160 base attack, a stab facade is no joke. So I was actually struggling to come up with something here. I spent few hours in the calculator trying to find a way, but I just couldn't see any. Until I took a look at Bagons Learn set again. I'm going to show it to you as well. Let's see if you find the answer to our Norman problem. The answer is Rage. Bagon starts with it, but I ignored it. I thought it had no use when you already have Headbutt, and I even forgot about it, as I had access to Return. So, what does Rage exactly do? If a Pokémon gets hit after using Rage, its attack stat will go up by 1 stage, resulting in a more damage output for every physical move. This is different in Generation 2, and that's probably why I didn't think about it sooner. But even with this great discovery, the fight is still going to be really tough. A new Bagon with specific stats is required, so meet Vars, the dread of every sloth, or so I hope. So, the first Pokémon I have to deal with is Spinda, and I need him to cooperate. He will either use Psybeam or Teeter Dance, and I want to see Psybeam here. I get what I want, and since I used Rage, my attack is already up by 1 stage. 1 return takes me down, the crit did not matter, and now Vigoroth comes out. He's the one I want to set up against, since he will consistently attack me. Hopefully I won't see too many slashes, a crit would mess up my plan real bad. Of course, Vigoroth has to slash me every single turn. My Oran Berry activates, and even if it seems not even worth to mention, you see that after tanking 3 hits, I have exactly 10 HP left. Now, once I finish Vigoroth with Headbutt, thanks to my +4 attack and my really good speed, I outspeed and knock out Linoone in 1 return. But the match is not over yet. In fact, this is the scariest moment. I'm of course dead if Slaking hits me. Unless I get the clutch Headbutt flinch. Come on, Vars. Unlucky. It might look silly to rely on a 30% flinch chance, but what else can I do? I'm always open to hear different strategies, so if you come up with anything, feel free to tell me in the comments. Anyway, the very next time I get to the Slaking, I actually get the flinch, so once Vars lands their final return, we can move on. The path to Fortree is pretty long, and I have to fight the Team Aqua at the Weather Institute, and there is a rival fight that's usually not a problem. The Team Aqua is not even worth showing, and as you can see, the rival is trivial as well. I'm really enjoying the raid strategies though. Hopefully they'll come into play in a future run too. But let's talk about Winona. If we don't consider Altaria, the fight should be free. We have a good defense to counter her physical moves, and all the special moves she has are weak and resisted by Bagon. But we have to consider Altaria. And the problem is not that she has an illegal Dragon Dance. That's going to be our saving grace if anything. But one thing at a time. First I go all the way to Lilikov to burgle the house of this guy, looking for the rest TM. He wakes up, but for some reason he decides to just give me what I want. Maybe he heard the tales of wars, dread of the slots, and was rightfully scared. Anyway, back to Fortree. I'm now ready to take on Winona with a brand new Bagon. Smaug doesn't really excel in any stat, but his defense is great and I need a well-rounded Bagon in order for this to work. I would have loved to set up with Rage against Swablu, but she has Perish Song, so I don't want to risk it. Maybe I ended up with an even less reliable strategy, but oh well. Anyway, I go for a turn, expecting a mirror move, and since Winona doesn't treat his Pokémon nearly as good as I do, it deals a really poor amount of damage. After a second return, Swablu goes crying home and calls his mom. Altaria has Dragon Breath, and without some boost to my special defense, it would one-shot me. But when the AI doesn't see a kill, it has a strong tendency to use a setup move. In this case, Dragon Dance. I need to see either a Paralyze from my own Dragon Breath or 2 Dragon Dance in a row. I get the 30% paralyzed chance into Altaria being fully paralyzed, so I'm able to take her down without losing any HP. But, silly me, I reset, because winning like this on the first attempt is not satisfying. It actually takes few tries before Altaria cooperates and goes for 2 Dragon Dances, and, as you can see, Smaug is able to take 1 Dragon Breath. I had a Cherry Berry in case of paralysis, but that ended up not being necessary. Anyway, as I said before, the rest of the team is not a problem. I have rest in case I get too low on HP, and none of Winona's Pokémon can kill Smaug fast enough. Paralyzing with Dragon Breath also helps not taking too much damage while asleep, so if I play correctly, no way I'm gonna faint. Skarmory actually came really close and I should have probably used rest one more time to avoid risking a crit, but that didn't happen, so badge number 6 is mine, fair and square. With the higher level cap, I finally get access to one of the best setup moves in the game, Dragon Dance. I am positive this move is going to be crucial for the upcoming fight against Tate and Liza, one of the hardest battles of the run and for sure one of my favorites. Tate and Liza force the player in a double battle, so I can only challenge them if I have 2 Pokémon in my team. If there's a proper strategy that allows me to win while bringing a Magikarp to fill the second slot, so be it. It happened quite a few times in my previous runs. But if that's not the case, I'm completely fine with using 2 Bagon. Forcing myself to use a single Bagon would require to level up a lot, and not only that's against my rules, but it would make the rest of the run pointless. With that said, it still took me hours to come up with a solid strategy. I'm taking the liberty to pretty much skip the long segment that involves fighting both Team Aqua and Magma, since they are really not that interesting. Maxi could have gone badly if I had worst confusion luck, but overall Vars doesn't have any real trouble. So, back to the Tate and Liza topic. First of all, the Bagon crew is going to need 2 new members. To reflect their role, I call them the carry and the support. First of all, I teach Facade to the carry and fly back to Slateport, where a move Tutor teaches Swagger to the support. Now I go to the Fury path and let a Wild Coughing poison the carry. I also want the support to be poisoned, but regular poison is not what I'm looking for. In Route 123, there is a ninja boy with a Coughing that knows Toxic. After a few tries, I managed to get the support badly poisoned, and now I can finally fly back to Mostip, where Tate and Liza await. So, this whole strategy is about knowing which are the psychic ranges and knowing how the AI behaves. The support goes into the battle with just 51 HP, so that Xatu and Claydol will focus her with Psychic. The Claydol part is especially important, since the AI will always go for Earthquake unless it sees a kill with its other moves, and I don't want to get any damage on the carry. With this in mind, the support can easily stall the first turn with Protect, as the carry sets up a Dragon Dance. At the end of the turn, both my Bagons take the poison damage, but the support only loses 6 HP due to being badly poisoned, and that, thanks to a Citrus Berry, leaves her with 75 HP, just barely out of Xatu's psychic range. Despite the +1 speed, the support is still the faster Bagon and can use Swagger on the carry. A Pressing Berry cues the confusion, and now a +3 boosted Facade takes down Claydol in one hit, before it lands a single Earthquake. Xatu is really likely to go for Carmine since no one is in kill range, and that's exactly what happens. Xatu is going down in the next turn, so I'm not worried about his boosted stats. The problem is that I'm not 100% sure about what Lunaton is gonna do. Half of its psychic ranges kill the support, but there's a remote possibility that it uses Hypnosis on the carry, automatically losing me the battle. I go for Protect just in case, but it ended up using a Carmine. Despite the attack buffs, Lunaton and Solrock resist Facade, so they won't go down in one hit. Unless the support does the ultimate sacrifice. So, while the carry hides safely behind his Protect, he has to see his companion bravely using a Leer to lower the enemy's defense, and then go down to Solrock's Psychic. Despite all the poison damage, I'm still out of Solrock kill range, so the next turn I can one-shot Lunaton with Facade while Solrock sets up a Sunny Day. I'm getting really low on HP, but at this point it doesn't matter, and Solrock, despite his better defense, goes down in a single hit as well. Going over this battle again, I see that I could have maybe made few things more consistent, but I think this battle is really cool as it is. Yet again, there's a pretty tedious segment regarding Maxi, Archie, Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza, blah blah blah. I mean, it's not boring, but I've already seen this 100 times. The fight against Archie in the C4 cavern isn't anything special either, it's just a Maxi 2 with a free Sharpedo instead of Camerupt. So, let's just jump to the last gym fight. With Dragon Dance and a weak Lap Disc to set up against, one obviously doesn't stand a chance, as I could easily get a +6 attack and sweep with return. So I just wanted to make things a little bit more spicy. I thought spicy both Substitute and Mimic. I didn't really use Tutor moves during the run, but that's gonna change for the last segment of the game. And if it seems like a waste to you, remember, I am giving me infinite access to the Tutor moves, as long as the Tutor is normally accessible. Anyway, as you can see, I am making sure to constantly be behind a Substitute, so I cannot get confused by Lap Disc. I still want to set up Dragon Dance, but 2 are more than enough. As I get Lap Disc low enough, she will start using Flail, and once that happens, I Mimic it. Then, I let her break my Substitute so that I can set it up again. This brings me down to a single HP, which means that Flail has a 200 base power. The Mimic Flail Sweep strikes again. One by one, every member of one's team goes down. It's fun to do stuff like this when you get the chance, especially when you know that the game time is gonna be over soon. As I get my last badge, I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna do against the Elite Four. I mean, technically there is still an important fight in Victory Road, but Wally doesn't really have much to offer as a trainer. His Altaria manages to set up 2 Dragon Dances and hit with a really strong Aerial Ace, but at that point I have a +3 attack and speed, so my Double Edge is probably gonna sweep. I suppose this is at least a good occasion to showcase another really important Tutor move. Not only Double Edge has 120 base power, but thanks to Bagon's Rockhead ability, I don't even have to worry about recoil damage. Anyway, looks like Magneton can take the hit after all, but unless it confuses me, or crit me. That's what I get for disrespecting Wally. Round 2 goes pretty much the same minus the crit for Magneton, so I just win and move on to the Pokémon League. Before entering the League Challenge, I trained 5 new Bagon. I'm not going to use the Champion's Ace to determine the level cap. Instead, every Bagon is gonna enter each battle at the same level of its opponent's Ace. So 49 for Sydney, 51 for Phoebe, 53 for Glacia, etc. Seems fair to me. So, without further ado, let's start. First is Sydney. It's a Dog-type specialist, so I should be able to get past him using Brick Break. Mightyena is out first and Intimidating is annoying, but a White Herb restores my attack. Since Mightyena almost always uses Scent Attack on the first turn, making the rest of the battle really shaky, I normally use Substitute to avoid the accuracy drop. In this case, I decided to just use Protect. I don't want to abuse too much of a strong move like Substitute unless it's strictly necessary. Anyway, second turn I tank fairly well a Crunch and set up a Dragon Dance. Now Hydra outspeeds everything and one-shots with Brick Break. Thanks to his really good physical defense, there is a 1 in 8 chance that Crowdown survives, and of course that's what happens. But I made sure that even after a Crunch for my Diana, Crowdown still doesn't see a kill with anything, so in classic AI fashion, he just sets up a Swords Dance. But I'm not getting any chances. While he heals, I set up a second Dragon Dance and then Brick Break takes it down. Same goes for Absol, so the first Elite Four member is down. Let's see how we handle Phoebe and her ghosts. Phoebe's first Dusclops has the potential to be the most annoying and run killer Pokémon of any league challenge, but since pretty much every Pokémon can learn Substitute and she cannot hit Confuse Ray or Curse through it, it ends up being one of the easiest Pokémon to set up against. The only requirement is that Shadow Punch, her only damaging move, doesn't break the Substitute in one hit, and thankfully Bagon has a good physical defense. So I set up all the Dragon Dance that I please and then, just out of spite, I copy Shadow Punch with Mimic. Aerialis even at +6 won't kill in one hit, but of course Shadow Punch does, and that applies to both Dusclops. The rest of the team is much more frail, so there goes Phoebe. We are having a pretty solid first try for now, but Glacia is next, and we have a pretty significant type disadvantage. If only this Celio had a decent Ice-type move, Glacia would be terrifying. But with Ice Ball alone, it's really easy to play around Celio and set up the Dragon Dance I need. The first turn, she always uses Hail, so that's Dragon Dance number 1. The second turn, I let her hit me with Ice Ball, as I set up Dragon Dance number 2, and then I stop the Ice Ball damage increase with Protect. A crit would really mess me up here, but that doesn't happen, so I can set up my third and last Dragon Dance as I tank yet another Ice Ball. From now on, it's just a matter of pressing the A button Brick Break for 5 times. I really have to stress this out. Dragon Dance is one of the best setup moves you can have in this game. And speaking of dragons, I'm pretty sure I won't get out so easily from the Drake fight. So, there are two main things that need to go my way if I wanna win. Since I know Shelgon uses Protect on the first turn, I set up a Dragon Dance. His Dragon Claw almost one-shots me, but until I stay out of kill range, he should most likely use Rock Tomb to slow me down. But sadly that doesn't happen, so this is probably where attempt 1 dies. Maybe he won't go for Dragon Claw now, but it doesn't seem like I'm that lucky, and in fact I'm not. Only win condition right now would be to get something like 5 crits in a row, and that's not gonna happen. Since I decided to don't save between the Elite Four members, I have to do it all over again. This way, in case something goes wrong, I can at least show that the strategies I use to beat the hardest part of the game are indeed consistent. That's not always the case, and sometimes more luck is required, but Bagon seems to be consistently able to make it to Drake without issues. This time Shelgon cooperates and does what he's supposed to do. I don't get a Rock Tomb miss, but it doesn't really matter. Shyvana has a pretty decent physical defense, so there's no way a single Rock Tomb can break a Substitute. Now I can safely set up a second Dragon Dance while Shelgon uses Dragon Claw and breaks the Substitute. I'm a bit playing with fire here, but I know I'm not in kill range, so just like in the battle against Winona, Altaria is most likely going to use Dragon Dance. But of course, things don't go my way. At half HP, everything is going to take me down for sure, but since we are here, might as well try. Sadly, despite my Seal Scarf, Double Edge only has about 80% chance to kill Altaria. Not much I can do about it, but that's some more RNG involved. I do get the range, but I have the same odds to take down Flygon. I fortunately do, but then Salamence comes out and drops my attack with Intimidate. If I had a Substitute, I would have at least prevented the stat drop. Now I can choose to either go for a crit or hope for some paralysis shenanigans with Dragon Breath. But no, I'm not this lucky. In fact, I think the game knows. It knows and it hates me. Just look what happens on the very next attempt against Glacia. The first Ice Ball crits and brings me down to 48 HP. My Citrus Berry activates and I should be able to tank a second hit, but then it crits me again. Out of all the attempts I made, that's the only time I lost one of the first 3 members of the league. I didn't even lose against Sydney the times my Tiana managed to land a sand attack. But oh well, it's no use to cry over spilled milk. Instead, I'm going to make a slight change to give me a more decent plan B against Drake. Hopefully I won't resort to that. So this time it seems like luck is by my side. Not only Shelgon doesn't use Dragon Claw on the second turn, but it also goes for Protect on the third. I didn't even realize that could happen. Anyway, in the heat of the moment I decide to set up a Dragon Dance instead of just attacking, which is a mistake. And Shelgon finally breaks my substitute. Alteria comes out and it's no longer a range, but I want the substitute for Salamence and guess what, Alteria goes for Dragon Dance. So, with a solid +3 attack and a substitute up, the rest of Drake's team is a cakewalk. After all this trouble, we finally made it to the champion. I sure hope we can do it first try, I really don't want to deal with Drake again. Let's go! I made my calculations and I can already tell you that there is about a 50% chance of winning this fight. Wailord is first, and between his pretty good special attack and my abysmal special defense, I have absolutely no way of tanking his Blizzard. But Blizzard only has 5 PP and a 70% accuracy, so we are going to abuse that. By alternating Protect and Substitute, we will be able to PP stall Wailord out of Blizzard while recovering some HP thanks to leftovers. This means that Wailord is going to use Blizzard against our substitute for 2 times, and all I need is him to miss once. Looks like this is it. Blizzard misses right away and I am able to set up a free Dragon Dance, but then Blizzard misses again and again. With free Dragon Dance and a substitute up, I am guaranteed to win. But this is not how I want to do it. I know I'm gonna regret this, but I'm just gonna do it. In my eyes, this wouldn't be a good ending. So, I'll spare you the failed attempts against the Elite Four. They weren't too many, but be sure that they all died against Drake. Anyway, let's see if Wailord cooperates. The first Blizzard connects. That's bad, but I still have a chance. I might be able to do something even if the second Blizzard hits, but that would require some really specific things to happen. Luckily, I get the miss, so I don't have to worry about that, and I can set up my free Dragon Dance. Once Wailord uses his last Blizzard, I still have more than 100 HP left. Since I'm out of kill range with Water Spout, I'm positive it will use Rain Dance, so I go for another Dragon Dance. My prediction was indeed correct, and now thanks to the rain, he does see a kill with Water Spout. But Water Spout deals damage based on the user's current HP, and with a +2 attack, Double Edge brings Wailord down to red health, resulting in a peanut damage Water Spout. The next turn, Wallace is guaranteed to use a full restore, so I am free to set up my third Dragon Dance. With a +3 attack, Double Edge is able to sweep Wallace's entire team, so we have pretty much won already. Wailord goes down, and now the Ice Beam users come out. First Tentacruel with his not so great physical defense, and then Milotic with his more decent bulk. Doesn't matter, Double Edge is just doing too much damage. Then Gyarados comes out, I believe because he has a Dragon type move in Dragon Dance. Intimidate drops my attack, but I'm out of kill range, so unless Gyarados goes for Hyper Beam and gets a crit, I should be able to safely get back my attack with another Dragon Dance. He doesn't even attack me, so let's continue from where we left. Double Edge one-shots Gyarados, then Ludicolo goes down as well, and finally Whiscash, despite being the most tanky, goes down in a single hit, winning us the battle and the run. This was for sure a funny one. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I did playing. I'm experimenting a more commented heavy type of video, so let me know what you think about this one. Speaking English for so long can be hard if you're not a native speaker, so any feedback in this matter is really appreciated. Anyway, I still have to decide what I'm gonna do next, but a Trico Solo run looks promising. For now, back to theory crafting.